It's all good. So, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure we're live. Um, awesome. So, guys, welcome. It's me and Teehee, and we're here with you for another Storytellers Happy Hour. We try to do this once a month. If you're watching this and it's not Thursday, January 17th, it's not a big deal because we're recording this baby. So you're more than welcome to either to give us feedback, or if you've got an idea for a Storytellers Happy Hour, like just completely ping us. It's all good. Put it in the comments. If you have anyone you'd like to see on it, I have more balls than sense sometimes. So I am more than happy to reach out to whomever it is that you think would be fabulous on this Storytellers Happy Hour and just be like, yo, I really think you need to join us and get your booze on and just like tell tall tales. So
I have some ideas about bringing some local Puerto Vallarta people that I know who are like not writers, but really good storytellers.
oh, I'm down. We're totally in. Totally in. We're doing it.
Awesome.
Totally.
Cool. I will let folks know.
Woo!
Woo!
All
Oh,
right. So,
also,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Good.
So the rules of our storytelling happy hour, we're both drinking. I don't know if product placement is okay, but I'm drinking
Oh,
beer.
I don't care. Do it.
Tecate, because I was poor yesterday. Uh,
All good. Understand. Believe me.
and we have this is courtesy of my friend Jenny. Bought me this deck, a game of storytelling. It's developed by
Yeah.
the folks at the Moth. If you
Nice.
remember that like storytelling thing that was all the rage in New York City once upon a time.
Mhm.
So they have like a deck that looks kind of just like a deck of cards, but each card has a prompt. And so right before we went live, I pulled one. And I think this is a good one for us to do. So this is how we roll. We just pull a card and then
Yep.
we're
Yep.
like, okay, let's just come up with a story. So I think Lisa, you would like this one because the one I pulled is music.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I was like, I don't have an idea off the top of my head, but I was like, I know Lisa has music stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know that I have like a narrative that I can give people like crazy ass stuff. Um, so, and I'm drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon. So just so we like to balance each other out. He's got his
Yeah.
beer on, I've got my wine on, or
Yes.
typically some other kind of hard liquor. So so everyone's represented. And then when Alicia joins us, she usually has some non booze thing, which is awesome. I love that she does that. I just think it's fabulous.
Yeah.
So
I
um
think it's going to be more and more common to see like non-alcoholic bars. Like I was just talking to somebody about how like if money were no object, I would probably open a non-alcoholic bar. Me, Teehee, who drinks like a fucking fish. Uh,
no, but there's more and more cool non-alcoholic drinks out there that
yeah.
are like they're made so that they're pleasurable, if that makes sense. So people don't feel excluded. And I just think that's brilliant, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if there were more options, then maybe I would like, instead of walking home drunk, I could stop at a non-alcoholic bar, have one or two drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and like, sober up a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. It's Mexico.
There you go, man. That is so awesome. All right. So I could tell a couple stories. I'm going to start with one that's not, oh, well, first, so everyone who's watching, just so you know, I'm actually going to be speaking at the Superstars Writers Conference. It's February, I think it's 9th to the 11th. I'm teaching 2 workshops. One's on branding and one's on building your writing career. And they're both, I'm basically taking material that normally would take like 4 hours, right? Because it's very interactive. Like I make sure that you are like, I don't know why I'm saying like so much because it's like I don't do that. Suddenly I'm an 80s girl or something. But anyway, um, I make sure you leave with a plan in both cases, because to me it's like, and honestly, even when I teach creative writing, it's the same. I'm the same way. It's very interactive. I make sure that you are getting something out of it, like in the moment, because I just think it's important, instead of it just being theoretical. Like, I'm like, all right, we got the theory, but now you're implementing it so that you've actually got something you are walking away with, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. So
Where is that going to be at?
it is in Denver, Colorado. And actually, let
Nice.
me, I know it's weird with me not having, I can't see now. Um I lost my one pair of glasses, and they fit better, if that makes, yeah. Like, these are a little bit tight, so
Okay, I
okay.
get you.
Hmm.
I've
All
never
right.
been to Denver. I want to go.
I was there like ages ago, like seriously. So I was, honestly, when they reached out to me and they were like, "We hear you're fun. We'd love it if you join us." I was like, "You did? Oh my God, I better be good." Right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I better bring it. Otherwise, shit, you people are going to get mad.
And it's called, what is it called again? For another
It's
plug for everybody.
Superstars of Writing.
Superstars
And
of Writing.
there are the instructors. I mean, it's I'm when they asked me if I would be there, I was like, at first I was like, really? Because so the founders are Kevin J. Anderson, David Farland, Eric Flint, Rebecca Mosta, James Owens, Brandon Sanderson. Just off of that, I just named a bunch of New York Times bestsellers. I mean,
Mhm.
these people, they are, and the additional list of instructors are absolutely incredible. So if you are really interested, if you want to do more than just write, like you want to actually have a career in writing, go to this. Like, this is one of those, because they have this amazing ability to balance the business of writing with the craft of writing, if that makes sense. So but yeah, when they pinged me and they were like, "Hey, would you do this?" I was like, "Oh, huh? Yeah, sure." I learned, let me put it this way. I had some teachers um earlier in my career who were like, "Stop questioning people when they invite you to do stuff. Like, you're allowed to be, unsure of yourself, but don't let them know it. Just say yes. Like, just shut up and say yes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, I learned that probably not well enough early enough, but yeah, I
I
learned to
wonder,
not say that.
I wonder if there's still slots. I have people visiting me in February, but since I'm not working, like
Oh
I
my
could go
God,
to Denver.
love, you would have a fabulous time. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. I put the link in the chat. Like, definitely
Ooh.
check it out. And I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you privately too. So
Yeah.
we would have,
Awesome.
and I'm hosting a table. So they have a VIP dinner, and I'm gonna like dress fancy and stuff. Um, and what they do is they have different speakers will, like, they'll host the table, and some will offer like a giveaway. So for everyone who sits at my table, I'm actually going to offer for you to you'll get a free half hour of whatever you want with me. So if you want to talk creative writing, if you want to talk business of writing, if you want my advice on your manuscript, if you want whatever you want, I'm just basically going to give you privately a link to my calendar, and then you set up time with me, and we'll do. That sounds so illicit, and I don't mean it
I let that pass because I'm only 2 beers in.
I love you so much. Oh my God, I'm like barely one glass of wine in, not even. But I'm like, every time I'm saying this, I'm like, wow, that sounds really not like above the board, but it is.
30
But it's
minutes open-ended conversation.
Thank you. Yes, you get a 30 minutes open-ended conversation. Now, that does not mean that I'm suddenly going to become your mentor. It doesn't mean we're suddenly going to publish you. It doesn't mean, all these other things that it could be implied. It just means that you will have 30 minutes focused time with me, so that we can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. So
That
cool.
sounds dope. I'm gonna look
Yeah.
this up because I might just crash it. I have to find someone to watch my cat who just ran out of food, but so will be bothering us all night long.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah, cats.
Okay, so, and I'm speaking at a couple other things like later in the year, but we'll talk about that later. So, okay, so story. So this is the non-illicit.
We've been super professional thus far.
We've tried, although we are very good at having more adult conversations, but this time, okay, so for those of you who don't know, and I may end up putting my glasses back on because I'm more like, if it's close up, it's blurry, versus far away. So I can see you right now. I just can't read anything that's on the screen. So someone could have a blast in our comments section, but and I would just be like, I don't know what it says. So anyway, okay. So most people know I actually grew up in the entertainment industry. So my father was a radio personality, and I was on live TV, and I actually did do some like low budget films, and like I was on different TV programs and all that kind of happy stuff. And my dad actually also did some TV shows. He played a detective early on in the early days of television. My father was born in 1922. I was born when he was, as he used to like to say, 49, which really meant it was only like 3 months away from him turning 50, but whatevski. So, when I was a kid, and what a lot of people may not be aware of is a lot of people in the entertainment industry, they don't actually get paid a whole lot, especially talent, right? There's been an attempt to kind of balance that out a little bit more in a lot of different areas, but let's just say back in the day when I want to say between actually I've got a couple of really good stories, but I'll tell this one and then I'll tell another one, so then you've got more time. So I'm going to say I was like 3 years old, something like that. So my dad worked for radio stations, and a lot of times what they would do is they would send him on appearances. And what that meant was he would be sent to an event at like a jazz club or at a concert, or I don't know, some kind of appearance. And the intent was that he would then interview that personality. So there was this one time he was asked to go and interview this one personality, and he could not find a babysitter. And I'm pretty sure I was like 3 years old. And being the obnoxious 3-year-old, as most 3-year-old children are, I insisted that I wear the schmanciest tutu Tinkerbelly thing ever. Right? So you got like the poof going on, and like all the glitter, and everything. So my dad, he takes me, and I'm all excited because I'm allowed to stay up beyond 9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? Because he had to, right? Because the performance didn't even start till like 8 or, and the interview happened at like, 11 o'clock at night. So anyway, so we're in this, and the jazz club, they had to let me in because what else are they going to do? Like, this was a deal cut among the club, the artist, and the radio station. And it's not like I'm 3 years old. I'm not going to be drinking Cabernet Sauvignon. Like, come on, right?
Yeah, I think that there should be like there's a certain age of which if you're under, you should be allowed in a bar. Like if you're under the age of 4, like it's like obviously this child is not going to drink. This is an adult who doesn't have childcare.
That's it, right? Exactly. So the performance was fabulous. I was like completely on like uh, I was just like completely hyped up because I'm up in the middle of the night, basically dancing around in this little jazz club, right? And I remember when my father went to have the interview, he, obviously took me with him. And the gentleman he was interviewing was like so super kind and so super nice and like paid all his attention to me. And me being a kid, I have no idea what's going on. Well, later on, I found out the interview was actually with Dizzy Gillespie. And
Whoa.
he treated me like I was his own child. Like he was such an amazingly kind man.
Oh.
And I mean, that always really stuck with me because to me, it's like, because mind you, we had also encountered individuals who, let's just say they knew they were famous. I'll leave it there. Right. And then you can take from it what you will. And that taught me how not to behave around people. But he was the first time I remember somebody behaving in a way that really kind of taught me how I felt like I should behave, like at all times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. So
I feel like we both can do multiple music stories. Maybe that's what we do tonight.
okay. So now you have to do one and then I'll do one.
Okay. So this is unfortunately a Georgia Southern story, but it's a fun one.
We love
So a lot of them are fun. They take dark turns. This one is only going to take some nice turns.
okay.
When I was in college, my like group of friends, like a lot of the like Greek life people and the quote unquote popular people called us riffraff. We called ourselves the Family McGee. We were the burnouts, the proto hipsters.
Love it.
So we took music super seriously, right? And we're like, the proto hipster thing of like, oh, I was listening to this ever since blah blah blah. Like I knew it was cool before you knew it was cool, blah blah. But the thing is we're in Georgia Southern University in rural Statesboro, Georgia, rural South Georgia. So no bands come through. And like sometimes people go to Savannah, but like you have to actually have like the money and the means to get to Savannah, even though it's only a 45-minute drive. But like that costs gas and blah blah blah. So it's just hard. So when a band comes through, it's a big deal. And so this band comes through, and it's not even, it is a Sublime cover band, a Sublime tribute band.
Okay.
And this is how starved we were for bands. We lost our goddamn minds. Like we heard about it days in advance. We had like plans. I wrote a column for the school papers. I was like, you know what? What if I try to get us backstage after the show by like, because I have my like student press badge that I could like fling, right? And they're like, oh yeah, let's do that. And we're like, we just like piled all this sort of fantasy on top of it because at the end of the day, it's a Sublime tribute band. Like they're not really famous. They're like from some dingy town in Florida. It's like, but it's they're performing at this place that was like really dingy too. I forget what it's called. I think no, it wasn't the Wooden Nickel. They were performing at some place called like Rum Runners or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we like rush the stage when they start performing, and they're doing, of course, all of Sublime's hits, and we're like, whoa, and, like screaming, and like, and this band is like, wow, like this is a good turnout.
That's awesome. We'll stay here forever. That's awesome.
And so then after the show, I'm like, oh, I write for our school's paper, me and my friend Sally. But Sally wants to talk to them more because she's a huge Sublime fan. I am still a Sublime fan. It was at the time, but my ex was an even bigger Sublime fan. So this was like a trauma minefield for a little bit. But I was like, okay, it's the Sublime tribute band. We got to go all out. So we're like talking to them, and like, I asked a couple of like soft lowball questions about like, how did you guys become a group? And like, why did you choose Sublime and blah, blah, blah. But Sally is all like, like, what do you guys like to drink? And blah, blah, blah. And so we tell them, we're like, there's this like parking lot that we like to get drunk at.
Oh
because we're
my.
sophisticated proto hipsters. You're like, dude, so there's this parking lot, and we're gonna be drunk there tonight.
Wow.
They're
That's
like,
awesome.
we'll totally come, and we're like, the Sublime tribute band is coming to
Oh
the
my God,
parking
they're
lot.
gonna hang with us. That's awesome.
And then I'm like, who has liquor? Because I was, we're all broke college students. And we're like, who has liquor? Who has liquor? My
Mhm.
friend Sean was saving some liquor that he bought for himself, but like was hiding from his roommates in my refrigerator. And
Oh
so,
my
like, when the show's over, they have to like bust down, and then we have
God.
to claim the parking lot before cars get there because
Mhm.
it's our party space. So in the meantime, I have to like run home. I run home and I'm calling my friend Sean and I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's an emergency. I'm taking
I
all the
need your
liquor that you
booze.
left in my And I'm like, it's important. Trust me. I'll tell you later.
Oh, that's great.
We get to the parking lot. I'm like, I have the liquor. And we're drinking, and we're like, oh, are they gonna show up? Are they gonna show up? Are they gonna show up? And it feels like an hour goes by. It's definitely not an hour. But then their like beat up, dumb van pulls around, and like the lead singer pokes his head out. We're like,
You're like,
it's the Sublime tribute. We get super, super drunk. And then the next day I run into Sean because he shows up for his alcohol. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I had to like take it. It was an important party. And he was like, an important party? Like, where was I? And I was like, I was calling you. You were asleep. And he was like, I got your message. Like, who was so important? And I was like, dude, it was the Sublime tribute band from Florida. Like, big time, big name people.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Oh my God, that is so fucking awesome.
A little bit embarrassed.
No, no, no. No, 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 no. Honestly, I mean, growing up, there were so many clubs that no one, they were all over 21, but like everyone who was honestly kind of, not everyone who was cool, but a lot of people who were actually kind of bringing it were under 18. So
Mhm.
all these well, so this is in Philly, by the way. So all these clubs in Philadelphia, in like the suburbs of Philadelphia, their parking lots were full of not just the kids, but all the over 21ers, because they wanted to hang out with the underage kids who somehow had booze, which I am not going there, but but no, so I totally understand. I think in part because the booze actually in the parking lot was usually better than the booze in the bar. Like they had
And at least
such
it was free.
it was free, and well, I mean, these clubs would buy such cheap beer and like hard alcohol that there's no way you were coming out of there without a hangover, right? But
Mhm.
the booze that you got in the parking lot, that booze actually it was good enough, at least, that you knew you weren't going to leave with a hangover. You know what I
Because
mean? I
it
know,
was stolen from somebody's parents who
right?
actually wanted to drink that.
Oh my God. Or like their cousin or their older brother or sister, but like it was somebody who actually was like, look, if you're gonna freaking bring it, then you've got to have at least mid quality booze, right? Like,
Mhm.
and meantime, the clubs are having like the hard booze that it's like, I mean, you take one shot and you're like, I'm gonna have a hangover now, like
Exactly. And you can feel your whole like lungs just like burn and dissolve. And you're like, okay, that was turpentine. That was not a shot.
pretty much. Yep, exactly. So no, don't be embarrassed. I think anybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s completely feels you on all of that.
Yeah. It was also like I've not seen a lot of tribute bands. Well, in Port of Arts I have, but in previous life. But Sublime
Mhm.
is actually a good one because you can tell your Sublime song within like the first couple of bars.
Oh, cool.
The guitar goes, and you're like, oh yeah, this is Santeria. Like, so like they actually that was a smart move.
That was a smart move. Yeah, totally. Sorry.
I'm like, Puerto Vallarta could use a Sublime tribute band.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Did your friend show up or no?
No, he texted me though, and I see it. He's gonna come afterwards.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. So I actually could tell 3 stories, which we might need because this one, this is a story that either bring people up or down. So you tell me, and then we'll figure out the upper story. So if they're
Okay.
one. Okay. All right. So, so when I was 9 years old, I actually had peritonitis. So my appendix had burst, and the infection had spread throughout my abdomen. I actually ended up in the emergency room in the hospital. I had surgery where literally 4 surgeons operated on me. I died on the operating table, no joke. I wasn't brain dead. I was just like, there's a difference between your brain dead and being physically dead. So they brought me back before I was actually brain dead. And so I ended up in the what is it, isolation, right, in the children's ward. You would be surprised, by the way, the number of kids who are in isolation who are in the children's ward. Like, in retrospect, I'm shocked at the number of kids who are that terminally ill that they are there. But anyway, so I'm in the children's ward. I'm in isolation with that, the plastic wrap around your bed kind of thing, right? And they're like, well, I don't know how long passed. I mean, I was a child, so as far as I was concerned, it was a month. I have no idea. And I also found out that this was at Cooper Hospital. It turns out the hospital actually had a fire in not in the library, but where all the records are. So they lost all the records from that period, which I found fascinating because I pinged them to find out like what really happened, because what your memory tells you and what really happened are usually not necessarily the same thing. And they sent me a letter back saying, yeah, we don't have any records from before whatever date. And yeah, so anyway, rewind. So they were like, okay, it turns out you're going to have another surgery. So it seemed as though they didn't actually get all of the infection out. They missed a whole section. So they said, what do you want? We'll give you whatever you want. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that meant we think you're actually not going to survive. They do this for kids who are terminally ill. They ask you like, it's basically what's your last request? And, and I was like, okay, so I just want to hang out with my best friend, Heather. And I've known Heather, according to our parents, Heather and I had known each other since I was like 2.5 and she was 6 months, which means neither one of us remembers this. Right.
Yeah.
So I said, I just want to hang out with her. Right. Because they wouldn't let me actually meet with anybody other than my parents. So they were like, okay. And I was like, and by the way, at the time I was not a Barbie girl. I was like, not Barbies. Like, we just want to like hang out and chill and whatever. So, now what's also interesting about this too is I would go around and I would go to the other kids in the ICU and I would like check on them and make sure they were okay and that they had what they wanted or that they needed. And even though like at times I actually had to have a walker because I wasn't really physically capable enough to walk around without like tremendous pain. Again, another one of so again, I'm hard-headed, right? So like even now, like if I have, because I have hip arthritis and knee arthritis, and I'll work out and I'm like the whole time I'm working out, I'm like telling my body like, okay, you need to knock this off now. Like we need to bring this on. Like, this is not acceptable, Yeah, that was me as a kid as well. Okay, so so they were like, okay, we'll try and figure it out. I'm not sure how we're gonna get her there. Her name's Heather, you know, blah blah blah. Well, Heather's father was actually a musician, and what he actually used to tour a lot. He did like folk music, a lot of folk music. So what they devised, which is actually in retrospect pretty brilliant, they said, all right, we'll have his name was Eddie. We'll have Eddie come and do a concert for the kids in the children's ward. And that'll be basically a deflection. So people won't realize we've brought Heather up through the back door and she can come and hang out with you and you guys can play. So they even tried to, and me being again the hard-headed child, I was like, you needed to bring in, and I like named all these kids who were in the ICU who were clearly terminally ill. I mean, like, you know, no hair, no, I mean, like, yeah. And I'm like, you need to bring them out. As I said, I'm down with this as long as you guys make sure these kids are looked after too. And they were like, yep, no problem. You got it. So the way the ward was set up is there was like a whole like row of rooms that were for kids who were considered terminally ill. Now, I mean, now the one benefit of being terminally ill is you get your own room. I mean, that's kind of dope, right? Because anyone who's ever been in a hospital, you don't get your own room normally. So they wheeled out all the other kids, and so Eddie came in and he like introduced himself, and he was used to performing for kids. Like a lot of the performances he did was at like festivals, and it was, you know, usually honestly for small kids, you know, that kind of thing. So this was perfect, right? So he starts performing and they bring in Heather, and we just go again through like literally the back door, like up the back staircase. And she and I just there, and we are just like, we just play and like act goofy and act like dorks and like the whole 9 yards, right? And we're like acting all stupid. And the whole time, you know, her dad's just like, you know, performing. And every once in a while you could kind of see him like look over, like, are they still there? Okay, good. Okay. Right. And then he'd like continue performing for all the other kids in the thing. So he did the performance, and I think I don't remember how they snuck her out, but they snuck her out. Now, fast forward, Heather and I are still friends. Guys, this means I'm just for context, I'm 52. So we've known each other
for about 50
years. Yeah, something like that. Almost 50 years. And she actually also, I live in Los Angeles. She also lives in LA. She lives in like North Hollywood. I'm in LA proper. And we were out to dinner one night, and I mentioned this thing, and she went, oh my God, I didn't know what that was for. All she knew, she had no idea I was terminally ill. All she knew was that her dad was coming to perform, which was normal, right? Like, sure. And that she got to hang out with her bestie, and she was just like, yeah, this is dope. Like, we just get to chill. Like, this is awesome. So and obviously I lived, so, you know, blah,
blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like, there's all this other shit behind it, which you all can hear later. But so that's my big, like, holy crap, music related story.
I think I may have a lighter tone music story.
Oh, perfect. Yay!
Because karaoke counts as music.
Yes.
And yes. And I am, and if it's not obvious, an avid karaoke goer. Okay, so, and this is actually not my story, but I witnessed this happen. And I do have permission from my friend Greg to tell this story. This is the story of why we call Greg Superman. So there's a couple of places to do karaoke in Puerto Vallarta. The big one is this place called Cookies. And it's a lot of fun. They have like at the time, this is during the pandemic, so
Okay.
they had just now let people actually perform inside because they have this huge patio area right on the street level. So for a while,
Okay.
you just had to sing, which I thought was fun because you're singing karaoke as people are literally walking down the street. Like, it can be intimidating for a lot of people, but I was like, I'll just go for it.
Hell yeah. Do it, man. Do it.
Yeah, it was great. That's how I met Allison Lowe, who I will try to get here for February because she's
Yeah.
hysterical.
Oh, and by the way, at
Um,
some point, I need to get my tushy to Mexico, and then I'm
yes,
down with karaoke, and we're doing this together live. Okay.
yes, yes. So Cookies has the stage. It's only about this high for like reference. It's only about like this high off the ground, the elevated
Cool.
stage.
Okay.
And then they had a section that was a VIP section, also because of COVID, to like help people like feel better and spaced out and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I was going to karaoke a ton, and I could always bring my friend Kevin with me. Kevin is a performer. He's been performing since he was 11 years old in like the 70s,
Oh wow.
in bars and
Oh my God.
clubs, and eventually like Carnival Cruises and on Broadway and everything. Like, so he has an immaculate voice. So he goes to
Oh,
karaoke and we do karaoke together. He'll sing and like put the whole room in tears. And then
wow.
I have to go out after him.
No, no,
It's happened
no.
so many times that I'm just so normal with it. I'm like, all right, well,
I'm just
here's
gonna
me
do
screaming
what
a
I
lot
can.
more set off key.
Oh my God. I love you. There's no way I'd do this. Anyway, go ahead.
So I can always talk Kevin into coming to karaoke and my friend Curiel because he always does the Lion King, which is hilarious because he brings his dog. He does a simple thing.
Oh
Um,
my God. Oh, you have to bring him and he has to do that. I'm just saying.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mhm.
But two people who is very difficult to bring to karaoke is my friend Kateri and my other friend Greg.
Mhm.
So finally, I was able to convince all of them, and I think my friend Luis was also there. So I go up, I sing a little bit, and it's fine because I'm average, and like nowhere near as good as like the professional performers in town, who are mostly all of my friends. Uh,
Okay. Oh
and
my God, that's hilarious.
Greg's like, I want to do a song, but I want to do a duet. I'm like, I'll do a duet with you, Greg. And he's like, I want to do a duet with Kevin because he's actually a singer. And like, if I get embarrassed, I can just turn the mic off. And like, it's
Oh
still
my
Kevin.
God. Oh, I'm sorry. I
And I was
mean,
like, okay. So they put in their song to do the duet. I'm outside smoking a cigarette. I don't think Greg was smoking, but I think he was. No, no, no. I was outside. I come back in because I'm sitting next to Kateri, and
mhm.
Greg is somewhere. He's either talking to some guy or he's talking to his husband on the phone. Same
Okay.
difference. Um,
Whatever.
and he hears up next on karaoke, Kevin and Greg, and he's like,
He's
"Oh
like,
shit!" And Greg starts
what?
running for the stage. And remember, the stage is only this big, right? Only this high off the ground. So his foot trips
Oh.
and he
No.
goes head first like this. He lands, his front part of his body lands in the VIP section, and the lower half of his body lands on the stage. And he just sits
Like,
there
yeah, totally. Oh my God, that poor man.
for a couple of seconds. Me and Kateri, we're just like literally with our mouths hanging open, like.
Holy
And then
shit.
the
Yeah,
music
totally.
starts. Kevin looks down at Greg, steps over him, and starts singing. Because Kevin's a
That
professional. And it's
is
just like,
hilarious. Oh
okay.
my God.
For like first half of the first verse, Greg was just splayed out, like
Yeah.
in shock that he fell on his face in front of like quite a lot of people at karaoke. But he eventually gets up, he finishes the song. I don't even remember the song. Like no one remembers the song.
That's awesome.
I just remember I was like this and looked at Kateri. Kateri's also like this. Like
Yeah.
we just have no response. So also, Greg is a retired military person. So he's
Okay.
very muscular and he's very tough. Right. So he finishes his duet after he fell on his face, comes back to the table, and we're all like, "Oh wow, good job, good job." And he like looks at us like, "Are you?" And no one wants to say anything. We're like so afraid of him.
Aw,
And so afraid of hurting his feelings that we don't say anything for 3 days.
holy shit. Wow. Oh my God, for
And
real.
3 days later, I'm hanging out with Greg and we're drinking some beers. And he's like, Teehee, are we just never going to talk about how I fucking fell on my face in front of everyone?
Aww.
And he flew so much with his arms straight forward that we call him Superman.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It is the perfect nickname. It is perfect. Oh my God, I need to meet him. He just seems fabulous.
He is hysterical. He is hysterical. And he loves the nickname.
Good. Okay, good. Which means the world, right? Like for real.
And it's got to be a good story if it ends with you getting the nickname Superman.
Right? Oh my, it's funny. A friend I've had, well, I have multiple friends, obviously, but I have some friends who appear at Comic-Con a lot. And some of them even have like cosplay, like people cosplay them kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm terrified. Well, not terrified, but I'm curious. That's better. I'm curious, like, if someone was like, I'm going to cosplay Lisa, like, what the hell would that be? Like, what, right? Wouldn't you wonder, like, what would happen if someone cosplayed me, Teehee? Like,
So,
I know.
last year for Halloween, not 2023, 2022, me and Kevin dressed up as each other for Halloween. I will
Yes,
send you pictures.
I need
Kevin got
pictures.
me really damn good.
Oh my God, I need pictures. It's going to be amazing. I need pictures.
I had to shave my whole face because Kevin doesn't have any facial hair.
Oh,
And I chose to do one of his stage looks because he performs like 3 or 4 nights a week. So I had to
okay.
buy like a hat. It was like a velvet hat and was wearing like a suit. And this is October in the tropics, like in the middle of rainy season. So I'm just like drenched in sweat. And I bought patent leather shoes, and it's like I pulled off the outfit. I don't quite look like him.
Got it.
We're both black, but I mean, he looked like me. He got a fake beard.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Nice.
But if I were to cosplay Lisa, it has to be
Like,
a wig with long red hair
right.
and the
Exactly.
glasses,
I could see that. Yeah. Mhm.
and then probably a bottle of wine.
I could see that. And like boobs. Like you'd have to have, like, almost every time I see a picture of me, like afterwards, I'm like, oh my God, my fill in the expletive are huge. Like I have no idea until like you know what I mean? Like you see yourself in but then I also know I'm body dysmorphic. So like I'm not sure, like, is this just me, like my mental image, or is this like for real? And then like usually some guy will have a reference that I'm like, oh no, okay, I guess I really look that way. So
Yeah. I would
yeah.
say, like, yeah, you've got a big chest. Not huge, but
No, not huge. Bigger than mine. Yeah. So okay, completely different. It has nothing to do with music. So when my mom actually had, like, she was like triple D or something like that. And growing up, like I couldn't wait to hit puberty because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna finally have boobs and like, you know, like curves and all that. And I think I swear I was like 14 and I went and I was like a 40B. So any female knows what I'm referencing. Like that makes it's like, wow, that sucks, right? So I was like, because I actually am. I have wide hips, right? I'm not small, right? I'm naturally built curvier. I guess it's the best way to put it, right? So it took until I want to say I was 48, 48, and I hit 36D. And I was, when she told me, like, I actually got measured, and when they told me that, I was like, are you sure? Like, is this possible? Because, I had heard my the width, I guess you could say, right, of my
Mhm.
chest was never smaller. So when they told me 36D, and she was like, actually, I could probably tell you 36 double D just because of how you're like, and I was just like, my mind was completely blown, right? So now I'm like, oh, maybe that's what my mom went through, right? Like maybe she, when she was a kid, was like small here, and then like with time,
Mhm.
genetically, we get it redistributes.
I know women like that where they're like, I didn't really get boobs until they were in their like late 30s. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
that's fascinating.
Isn't it
So,
wild?
yeah, all the women in my family are very big breasted. And
Okay.
like, it happens pretty immediately. And so, like, as a boy in the family, I'm like, what's going to happen to me? Like, I don't have man boobs, and I'm proud of them.
As you should be.
Really funny is like when I come across gay men who have almost no understanding of English, like just like a very basic level, but they want to hit on me. Like it's happened with a guy from India and two different people from the Middle East where they come up and they're like, "You got big chest." And I'm
Okay.
like, is that a compliment?
I don't know if this is, oh my God. Okay. So piggybacking on that, I don't know what the happened, but like when I turned 50, all of a sudden, these guys that I've known forever, who are, in my opinion, all incredibly hot, just started reaching out to me like, I've had a crush on you since like we worked on, like, because these were all people like either we worked together or whatever. And I'm like, you could have told me then, right?
Yeah,
Because then I thought like no one thought me to be attractive. Like no one wanted to go out with me. No one was interested in me. And now I'm finding out that there's like that it's all completely not true. Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I'm like, guys, what the hell?
It's almost safer to go about the mindset that everyone you've ever met before has a crush on you.
Kinda.
You're
Well,
more
okay.
likely to be accurate than the opposite.
Well, everyone you've ever met before has a crush on you who stayed in touch with you, like who stayed friends with
Oh,
you, right? Like, because then, yeah. And some of
yeah.
them, like, I have friends who've met like friends who turned around and they're like, oh my God, I loved you forever, whatever. And they're like, no, Lisa, you don't understand. Like, he is like in love with you. Like, it is so obvious that he is like just completely dying over you. And I'm like, okay. And I know I'm not that clueless, but it's just, yeah, like I really wish the teenager me had a chat with the 40 something year old me and went, oh, I'm not crap. Yay.
If 40-year-old me could go back and talk to like 14-year-old me, I'd be like, don't worry, you're hot now and you will continue to be hot throughout your life. You're just
100%.
in Iowa where no one looks like you.
100%.
And that's why you think you're an alien. But like, trust me, trust us. You're hot.
100%. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
But and then I
Okay.
think there's some people, and because I include me in this, and I would include you in this too. There are some people who there's something about our personalities where as we get older, we do just get more attractive and alluring. Like for some
Mm.
reason at 40, I think that I'm hotter than I was at 30.
Oh, honestly, so I think I agree. And I think part of it is you hit a point where you're just like, I just love myself. And I don't mean that in like an egocentric thing. I mean like I accept my body. I accept who I am. I accept those things I love. And I accept that that's okay. Cause like growing up, okay. Well, growing up, so my father was all of like 5'4", something like that. He was a small man. He had heart issues. He was raised that attractive people were small and petite. I'm 5'7" for context. Okay. I've never, and I'm wide framed. So even growing up, like when like Teehee and I were kids, I couldn't buy jeans because they weren't, you couldn't get stretchy jeans. And so they wouldn't fit my hips. And so that was just like game over, right? So I actually remember the day that I literally was in my backyard as a kid and I was like, you know what? Fuck everyone. I love me. I know I'm a good person. I do things with the intent of helping and benefiting everyone. So screw them. And like that was it. And that's when I decided, but it didn't really hit until I want to say like 38 was like my magic number. Like at 38, for some reason, all of a sudden everything just kind of came together and I was like, okay, no, I'm okay. Not only am I okay, I'm the shit, right? But it's also the time when I finally, like when someone who is incredibly attractive, where when I was younger, if someone was incredibly attractive and came on to me, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I would like run away. But like if someone was really hot and came on to me and even just wanted to talk to me, and I was like, okay, let's talk. And seriously, I'm talking about my husband at this point. My husband is effing hot. I mean, my husband is like incredibly gorgeous, both inside and out. And I remember the first time we met, it was at a coffee shop, and I saw him, and I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, turn it off, right? Turn off the self-doubt, turn off all that, and just talk to him like, a normal human being. And obviously we got married, so duh. But
It worked.
it worked. But there's something, a lot of kids who are not considered attractive when they're younger, you go through this long period where it's just like, what do I do with me? Like, I just don't know what to do. And then you finally come to, hopefully, please God, I pray for you. You get to a point where you realize, you know what? I'm a good human being. And you know what? That actually means a lot. So it's cool. It's all cool, right? As long as I love me, it's all cool.
Yeah. So when I was 15, me and my best friend in Iowa, Sabrina, we decided to go on a diet together because we both thought that we thought of ourselves that we were big and we needed to lose weight. And it was really hard. And I remember telling her on the phone, I was like, I think it's probably easier to expend the mental energy of just accepting my body as what it is than the physical energy of trying to lose weight.
I totally feel that.
I'm stuck with that the whole time because
Oh my
like
God.
I've lost weight, I gain weight, and it's all like the older I get, the less it has any meaning. But the heaviest I was ever in my life was when I was living in New York City, and I got laid all the time. And I was like, wow, but I was like pretty big. And like I can like, because I have a big frame and I'm a wide framed and I'm tall, like I often like don't look like I weigh as much as I actually weigh. Where
Yeah,
like
me too.
I was approaching like 300 pounds and like literally no one could tell. And
Wow.
like, but like 280, like, and people could tell I was a big guy or a thick guy, but like, I was like, wow, I'm close to 300 pounds. And like, I'm fucking literally anybody that I say hello to that I want to have sex with. And
Wow. Damn, man.
then moved to California, lost a bunch of weight. Whenever I lose weight, I get more self-conscious. If I can
Mm.
tell that I'm like physically starting to lose a lot of weight. And like when my clothes stop fitting, then I start worrying about like, well, fuck, now I have to buy new clothes, but I love my wardrobe and I love my like sense of fashion. And like, am I gonna lose that just because I lost weight? And like all this, it's weird. But I hope it's done. Hopefully this will be done in the 40s. And I'll just be like, look, my weight is my weight. It's fine.
I can't weigh myself. I don't weigh myself. I know what I ingest. I know I work out every day. I know all the things that I do to benefit my body. And I just hit a point where I was like, because I kept being told, well, you need to weigh like 120. I'm 5'7". That
Yeah.
is crazy. That would be anorexic.
I had a doctor tell me I was supposed to weigh 180 at like 5'11 and a half. And I was like, 180? Like, I'm going to be like a stick starving person. Like,
And seriously, the women I know who, all right, full disclosure, like when I was younger and I was totally jealous of them because I thought, oh my God, she's completely gorgeous, right? Like this amazing female, blah, blah, blah. And they would come out and say, like, I was like 165, I was 175 at that time, which growing up, I was told, no, 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 that can't be. You've got to be 120, 100. And so it's so, we've all been just raised with these, like, in my opinion, incredibly body dysmorphic
yeah.
perceptions that it's like, just accept yourself, love yourself. If you know the things that you're doing are to benefit all, like you're just completely, you're centered and you're cool, fuck them, you
Yeah.
know?
I don't weigh myself either. I think I go on the fit of my clothes because I haven't actually bought clothes in like over a year. So like I know my like shirts and my shorts and like my outfits. And when I put them on, I'm like, oh, this is like looser than it usually is. And then I'm like, okay, I'm losing weight. And other times I'm like, oh, this is kind of tight. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gaining weight. And like that's my
Totally. Me too. 100%.
yeah.
All right. We're almost at time. And with that, I just want to thank Teehee. Oh my God, love. We always have such an amazing time together. Everyone else can F off. My cat has come back yet again. Loves to everyone who joined us. Loves to everyone who is like if you're considering joining us. Again, if you've got ideas for like who should like join us, just totally ping me. It's all good. I have more balls than sense. I will totally reach out to that person and be like, yo, we're fabulous. And my cat is more fabulous than all of us. So come and we're all over it. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Love
We'll
you
see you
guys.
guys in a month in February.
Awesome. All right. Night.
Bye-bye.